What was something that you found once the baby came was the most surprising thing?
How masculine it made me feel. Right now we have a budget where it's $40,000 per month. I don't care what we spend on. As long as we stay below that, I'm more than happy.
If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. I found myself winning that today.
Hey guys, super excited for today's episode with Sam Parr. For those of you that don't know, Sam is an incredibly successful entrepreneur and he's entirely self-made. He lives an aspirational life around business, family, and his work-life balance. I hope you enjoy these tidbits as much as I did around how to not raise a spoiled child on a $40,000 a month budget, how he structured his finances with his wife, and the transformative power of childbirth and what he learned. All right. Enjoy and welcome to the show, Sam Parr.
Welcome back to another episode of Just Alex. I am obviously here with Harrison yet again, but the most exciting thing that's happening in the room today, ladies and gentlemen, is we are joined by Sam Parr, who, for those of you that don't know, I'm going to give you a little resume on him. He was the founder of The Hustle, which he sold for tens of millions of dollars. And then he started the My First Million podcast, which got over 100 million views on YouTube last year. Last month? It's a month.
I wish. That would be awesome if it was a month. Last year, we had like 95 million.
No way.
Yeah. I wish it was a month.
Good for you.
That'd be a lot.
That's my goal.
100 million a month?
No, a year.
Yeah.
Good for you for hitting it.
Yeah.
And
it was on YouTube and audio. The audio stuff is, by the way, way more valuable.
According
to advertisers. Yeah, I mean, if you have someone, the retention on YouTube is just lower. So if I have someone's ears for 85% of an hour, which is what like a typical retention
listener is.
Yeah, it's like you make way more money.
But
at least in my case.
Well, but this number that we're talking about, 95 million in a year, is just on YouTube. That excludes audio.
Yeah, that was mostly YouTube.
That's an even more impressive stat.
So my company, The Hustle, we owned a newsletter that's now read by like 3 million people a day. And we owned a bunch of stuff, including a bunch of podcasts. One of them I hosted and I sold the entire company. And so I don't own the podcast anymore. And so I don't really look at the numbers. I don't have to care.
Yeah, now it's not your problem.
It's not my problem.
Do you get a rev share off of the advertising?
Yeah, I get so basically my company was a newsletter and media company, whatever. And it was for mostly like entrepreneurial type small business owners. It was like the Wall Street Journal, but for like 28-year-olds, but it was a lot of like tech heavy, entrepreneurship heavy. And this company called HubSpot, have you heard of HubSpot?
Yes.
Large, publicly traded, like $30 billion company. They sell software to small businesses and they were like, let's just buy this company because we can, instead of advertising elsewhere, we're only going to advertise here. And so they bought my whole thing. And so now our only sponsor is HubSpot. And so we don't even have ads. And so they just pay me. It's like Howard Stern. It's like a contract. I have like a contract if I ever want to continue hosting it, but I guess it can end if I get fired or something. But yeah, I have like a contract.
So you have the kind of rev split where you don't have to wonder what the rev's going to be. It's guaranteed.
Yeah.
You're on a guaranteed deal.
Yeah.
That's nice.
It's honestly awesome.
And then the other thing that you've done is started I call it a modern YPO, Hampton.
Yeah.
Which is how you two boys know each other.
That's how we met. We met 18 or 20 months ago. Hampton is like do people even know what YPO is?
I know what it is. Being from Oklahoma, I had definitely heard of it.
Yeah, so YPO was launched in the 50s. Their average customer is probably a bit older and a bit more blue-collar-y than what we go after, but it's a similar thing. It's a network for CEOs who run companies. I think our average company does like 25 million in revenue, but it ranges from like $1 million in revenue all the way up to like hundreds of millions publicly traded companies. And it's a peer group, so you can hang out and meet other people. So you could be like, you have like an 8-person group who you meet with monthly, but then we also have a wider network, and so you could post in there like, I'm going to get married. Should I get a prenup? Or
wow.
Or how do I not spoil my kids? Or I'm about to lay people off. Can someone help walk me through like the right way to do this? How much severance should I give? Like you can post all these like questions that you can't Google. Or like, I just sold my company. What do I do with all this money? Do I set up trust for my kids? Like a lot of the conversations that you're having here, they don't really happen like publicly, particularly amongst like wealthier people. And so you could have that conversation there.
And so did you have to, I never asked you this because I knew I would ask you here today. You have to apply.
Exactly. So I applied and Sam actually interviewed me.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was right when
we started.
when things were getting going, and it's been an unbelievable community.
Thank you.
Using it in all those ways. Another way, we're deciding where we live right now, and so as we go from city to city, I drop into the city chats, and I tell people the dates I'm in town. I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about moving here. We're having a kid.
Sick. So you can like go in the Austin channel and post, and then you'll have a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And I think we have like 100 members in Austin.
The Austin's a great channel. You know, you're one of the Thank you very much for joining.
I've never done like a fun podcast like this. It's all just like business nerdy stuff.
Okay, it'll be fun. Maybe you'll catch us bickering or me making fun of her.
Hopefully not.
But you're one of the more thoughtful people that I've come across as it pertains to business, entrepreneurship, personal finance, work-life balance.
Yeah.
And so wanted to have you on today to shine that lens into, the parenting as you recently had a baby girl and the finances of raising a child.
Yeah, I'm super into that stuff. Like I've obsessed over that before I even had a kid. I've obsessed that since I was like 20. I don't know. Did you grow up wealthy or poor or what? Normal?
Wealthy, I guess.
Wealthy?
Yeah.
I grew up in Missouri. You grew up in Oklahoma. The definition of Oklahoma wealthy and New York wealthy is probably a little bit different.
I was just about to say, disclaimer, Oklahoma wealthy, yeah. Where you go and you see my parents' house and you're like, holy shit. And you're like, well, but.
Yeah, like they're like millionaires off $300,000 a year or
Right.
$200,000 a year or whatever. Like that's a good living, but in New York City, it's different. So I just like didn't grow up with like a significant amount of money, and so I just was like planning ahead, like plotting on how to like afford a life that I wanted.
So that's why you are, that's why you are where you are today, because you wanted to, not because you had the inspirational thing, you wanted to do it differently than what you grew up with.
Yeah, I wanted freedom. That's what I wanted. I wanted freedom. I wanted to be able to do whatever I wanted to do. At a young age, someone told me, I heard this phrase, time billionaire. Have you heard that phrase?
No.
So there's like a billionaire, like money billionaire. You're a wealthy person. But really, it's about being a time billionaire. To control your time. I thought it was weird that you would spend 40 hours a week at something you hate, starting at the age of 21, and then until the age of 65, and then you're retired. And it's like, dude, you're retired old, and you can't even enjoy all this stuff. I want to be a time billionaire while I'm young. I want to have time to like do all these exciting things and spend my life how I wanted to spend. And so it was about freedom. And so basically, I like interviewed a bunch of like wealthy people. I'm like, how much money do you spend per month? And I asked a bunch of them, and one guy was like, I spend like $60,000 a month. And I was like, well, how much money do I have to have by the age of 30 to be able to like spend that amount of money per month forever and never run out of money? Mm-hmm. And that's like something like $20 or $25 million. And so I was like, all right, I need to make that by the age of 30.
Wow.
And so I like set that goal when I was like 21 or 22 or something like that.
And because of the hustle, did you hit it
Yeah, I was 31.
when you hit it?
Yeah, so I missed it by a year. But it was enough that I can live forever.
But you knew you were going to make your goal. No,
No.
I guess you missed it by a year, but you.
No, I didn't know I was gonna. No,
Oh.
I didn't know I was gonna make it till the wire hit the bank. No, like running a company sucks. Like nothing's like real. Like you said you raised some money. Like it's not real until
It's there.
Yeah, no. I mean, and this is your new company, right?
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's gonna suck 95% of the time until it
Wait.
doesn't suck. But
Day number one, he was like, "This shit's gonna suck."
yeah,
I was like,
it's gonna be
"Awesome."
hard, and particularly in the media business. Like,
Totally.
it's a hard business. So no, I didn't know I was gonna hit it until it happened.
Wow. So you didn't have like a clue at 29 it was coming. You were just like,
I knew that I owned a business that was making millions of dollars, but like, so like when I did the math, there's like two ways to get there. So you either own a business that you can pay yourself enough money to accumulate that amount, which is really hard, but not impossible. Or you can own a business that makes $10 or $15 million a year and sell it, depending on the industry, for 20, 30, 40. It all depends on what type of business you have. And I felt that I was like, I bet you I could start something that gets to this run rate and I could sell it for 3 times revenue and hit the number, which is also more tax advantageous. But there's like, I just like kind of plotted out like what are the potential options to do it. And so leading up to that, the first 3 years of business, I paid myself the first 2 years was $2,000 a month. I paid myself. The third year, I think was 40. The last year, I think was 500,000. So for the first 3 years, I was pretty broke. I was on Obamacare. Like I didn't have a lot of money.
Wow. That's pretty inspirational.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Which is common. I mean, I think you guys are kind of taking off right off the bat, but like most people,
I'm a no salary though.
You don't have a salary?
No, he says it's stupid, but it's just what
I think it's stupid.
Yeah, it's what
Looking back, that's stupid.
He says
Like
that
you're I think you're a better business person when you're more likely to be on the offensive when you have money coming in, and you also taste it.
What she does, though, to clarify, is the money she gets is from separate brand deals. So, like, she looks at the business as all right, I have my core media business and the ads generated from the pods, but then brands pay Alex separately.
Yeah, I think you should pay yourself money because
I still agree.
If you ever want to sell the company, like someone's going to have to run it, so you need to like bake in some type of like operator salary or something like that.
Do you know why I didn't do it? Was because I knew nothing about what I was starting, and I made 2 phone calls and I said, I'm about to go pitch to the first investors. What's the number one thing I could do? And they were like, just tell them you don't take a salary. And I just no brainer went with it and then ran. And so still till this day,
I mean, that's cool when you don't have money, but how much did you raise? Is that public?
I have to, I don't know. No, I have never said it. I didn't have to raise that much because you know why? I knew we would be profitable because I knew what Mean Girl could make, and it started making it month 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so I raised $300,000.
Okay, so that's enough to get going, and that's enough to probably pay yourself a little bit if you have revenue coming in. Yeah, I think you should have a taste of it as you go. Yeah, I think it's way better. I mean, I lived poor, and so when I wanted to sell, I was like, "Fuck yeah, let's do it!" Because I was broke. But if I weren't broke, it would have been a lot different discussion.
Right? Yeah, it would have been entirely different.
Yeah. So it's like when you're desperate, you make dumb decisions sometimes.
Yeah, I was just going really quickly at the time. Yeah, he told me the same thing you told me. Dumbest thing ever.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know if it's the dumbest thing ever, but I don't think it's like.
It's definitely not the dumbest thing ever.
It's not the dumbest, but it's like that's not the right decision.
I've done dumber.
Yeah, if you can pay yourself, even if it's a little bit.
Right. Well, I could start tomorrow probably doing that. We'll see.
Yeah, you should.
Our next episode after you come on is, and here's where we're going to segment into parenting, but after we talk to you, finances and all that, we're going to do our finance episode where Harrison and I, like, in real life, draw up our prenup, talk about we're going to do all the budget for the kid.
So I did the same thing with my wife. So my wife and I have been together for since I was 24. I'm 30, 11 years, I think. And like in year 1, we were like, all right, so what type of life do you want to have this year? How about in 5 years? How about in 10 years? What about when we're 40, 50, 60? And we like, all right, let's list out all the things you want, what type of home you want, how much you think that's going to cost. Let's outline all of the expenses. Let's outline what we're willing to sacrifice, what we're unwilling to sacrifice. And we like mapped out all of that, because when you have a relationship, you're just as much of a partner as you are like a lover. Like, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gotta outline all that shit. That's smart. And you're like, it's just like running a company. You outline your values. Like, here's what we stand for. Here's what we don't stand for. Those, yeah, it's really important, I think.
Yeah, and I made the mistake my first relationship of not understanding the finances. And one thing he came to me and said was like, if you understand this, you'll feel empowered by it too.
For sure.
And we're gonna ask you like specific questions around how you and your wife do things.
Yeah.
Why don't we just keep diving down this finance route right now?
Yeah. What do you know?
Do you want to?
Yeah. I mean, how do you and your wife divide up the finances, and
so
do you monitor spending?
You want to know something crazy?
Do you have in place?
So, all right. So my wife went to like an Ivy League fancy school, and out of school, she got a job at Facebook, and she was making like, I don't know, 120 grand a year. And I wasn't. I was broke. And so she was the breadwinner for a long time. And then she got a job at Airbnb. She's been there for years. And she was a millionaire because the company went public before me. And so it was awesome. It was awesome that I had like, I think a lot of men are like intimidated by that. I was like, this is fucking sick. Like, this is great. And so she bought our house. And so now the company, I think Airbnb went public in like November, and I sold in February. So she got a few months on me. But we basically, the way that we did was like, we agreed. We said, we are going to work. I'm going to work. But we would like to have enough money to where we don't have to. And we were like, I have the moonshot that like might get us there. You've got the safe one, the 9 to 5, which is awesome to have that like yin and yang. And then we basically just, right now we have a budget where it's $40,000 per month. And it's just, I don't care what we spend on. As long as we stay below that, I'm more than happy. And we could spend a lot more, but it's just, I use this thing called Monarch Money. And every month I go in and reconcile our balances or whatever, and we allocate it. So I just know, are we spending less than $40,000 a month? Because her and I agreed to it. And then I don't really care what we spend on as long as it's underneath that.
You don't care at all what category the money comes in at?
No. One of the values that we have is like, what you're going to learn with having a kid is like, the world wants you to buy so much shit. And you don't need any of it. You basically need very, very few things. And so I'm not thoughtful about what to buy because I want to save money. I'm thoughtful because I don't want my brain space to go to taking care of all this shit that I don't really want or doesn't make me happy. And so what we do is we're like, what's the least amount of stuff that we can acquire to do what we want to do? And so I don't like buying stuff. I hate buying stuff. And so we're on the same page with that. So no, I don't care what we spend on.
And you call this your war on stuff, right?
My war on stuff. I fucking hate stuff, man, because you buy shit that you don't need to impress people that you don't really care about, and you end up just accumulating all this crap. Particularly, you guys live in New York. You don't have much space. And like the baby crap, they tell you to buy everything. They'll tell you to buy a thermometer for the bath. It's like, dude, just put your hand in there. You don't need like a dedicated appliance towards cutting up pineapple. Like, I don't need this stuff. I don't want all this crap. And I'm on a war on stuff because what you end up doing is you end up buying all this stuff. And when I lived in Austin, I would pay money to get the cardboard boxes out of the house because I had too much crap. Mm-hmm. And then you have to pay money to store stuff if you have too much stuff. And you got to buy a bigger house to keep your stuff safe. I hate it. I hate stuff.
Just stuff.
Yeah, you don't need any of that crap.
But you do come from the school of thought of if you buy something, spend money on it so you don't have to...
And own it forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I don't have an Amazon Prime subscription because I just don't want a lot of that crap. Mm-hmm. When I buy things, I'll buy things that I want to own for a lifetime, ideally.
Right. You'll spend more to keep it forever.
Yeah, for sure.
So on one end, we're sitting here and we're saying we're spending $40,000 a month, which is a lot.
It's a lot.
On the other end, we're saying that we have this war on stuff. So there seems to be some conflict between the
Not
two.
Necessarily. So
where's I guess
services.
2 questions, and then the second part of that is, I think you've said one of your biggest fears is raising a spoiled kid.
Yeah.
Or
a drug addict kid.
And so, what's the game plan to, raise your kid with the right values and not let, these successful outcomes that your wife and you have achieved affect them?
I'm not against spending money. I'm against spending money mindlessly. So I just try to be really conscientious about what actually moves the needle for happiness. For my family, we love services. So for example, a cleaner every 2 or 3 days, a nanny, a night nurse, really good fitness coaches, really good medical care. So I like spending money on services, and that's where predominantly all my money goes is services. When I fly, I want to fly first class. So like experiences and services is where I spend almost all of our money on. When I travel or rent a house or I want like nice shit, like a nice place to stay. But like right now I'm renting a home, it's furnished. So I didn't buy anything. And I purposely rented a furnished home because I didn't want to own stuff. So I'm not against spending, just about spending mindlessly. And then the other thing was about raising a drug addict kid.
Well, I said spoiled kid.
So to grow Hampton, we created this podcast called MoneyWise, where have you heard MoneyWise?
Yeah, of course.
So MoneyWise is this cool podcast where we interview high net worth people. So people who are worth 50 to 100 million, sometimes more, billionaires. And we ask them all these crazy questions, like what their income is, what their monthly expenses are, what their portfolio is, so where they're investing their money. And then we'll dive deep on a topic, like what scares you or what makes you happy. And we've had a bunch of stuff around parenting. And it freaks me out because I think we have less control over how the kid's going to turn out than we think. I think a lot of it's genetic. But I do get fearful of how raising your kid in an affluent family will like remove the struggle from their life, and they just won't want to do anything. And that freaks me out because they won't have a mission in life. Or the other thing is, if you we want to be better than our parents. I think from a man's perspective, to be better than your dad is like a really scary thing. Like, do you remember like the day you were like,
absolutely,
I can kick my dad's ass now, or he may not be as smart as I thought, and I might be as smart. That's like a really weird feeling for a boy. And I remember when that happened, I'm like, that's weird, but that's like what you want. He wants me to be better than him, and I should want that too. And if you if you have some success, and in my case, it was frankly a ton of luck. And now, as my kid gets older, I'm going to have years of compounding and hopefully more luck. But I definitely got lucky early on, and I'm fearful of how that balance is going to be. If my children won't be able to be better than me at a traditional way of measuring success, and I don't want them to feel empty about not being able to beat their dad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and so, what do you do about that?
Well, for one, just let them know that money is only one measure of success, but it's not actually the important one. I think the important one is just contributing to and helping other people, and also being happy. But
and so, do you think that pushing them towards a career that isn't incentivized by money, like a doctor or something,
or
more
a teacher?
philanthropic?
My mother's a teacher. Yeah, I think that. I don't think I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm not going to push them towards anything. But I am going to let them know that, for example, we're in Manhattan right now. When I see a line of people outside of Supreme, I fucking hate that. That's my biggest pet peeve. You know what I'm saying? No offense if you guys do that.
Nope.
But I hate that. I'm like, you don't need that to be happy. That will and that just gets them on a track of consumerism, and then climb your way up this ladder so you can spend more and try to appeal to more people. And I just want them to know that that's not important. You don't have to do that. And so whatever they're passionate about or happy about, I'll support it as long as they're being respectful and helping other people. Hopefully it's business, because that's my passion, but I don't care.
It was one of my first learnings, or meaningful learnings in the real world when I graduated school. Is I went and I worked in finance.
Where'd you go?
I went to McGill in Canada, where I'm from.
It's like a fancy school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how I got into it, but managed to.
And you worked in finance?
Yeah, so worked in finance.
Banking or what?
I was a banker.
Oof.
And the beauty of that job was I got very early on in my life to know what it was like to make a lot of money, and more money than I ever thought.
How much did you make out of school?
Out of school, it was well over $100,000.
What age were you?
21.
That's insane.
But then very quickly, I did that up to my mid to late 20s, and so that scales very, very quickly.
Right.
And I just looked up and I looked at the people around me, and I didn't see the happiness that I personally desired. And I looked at all these fancy things they were consuming, and I realized that isn't for me. And it's what allowed me to make drastic lifestyle changes and jump into entrepreneurship and start optimizing for other things. Most importantly, time.
And it's a douchey thing to talk about a little bit, because it's one of those things where you kind of got to experience it to know it sucks. And a lot of people in the comments will be like, well, it's easy for you to say you can do that. And I have empathy for that perspective.
Absolutely.
And I didn't believe it either until I was there. But so I understand that sounds like an empty thing, but it is 100% true.
So, okay. So raising the non-spoiled kid, the non-drug addict kid is a values-based play.
Well, I think it's genetic. I told you, I don't drink anymore because I was an alcoholic. I think there's a huge genetic component, and I'm freaking out.
Totally.
Whose genetics do they have more of? And so I do think there's a strong genetic thing. But I know billionaires who've got drug addict kids, and it's you're only as happy as your saddest kid.
Yes, I think that's the most true thing.
Yeah, and so I just don't want that to happen, even though they raise their kid wonderfully. Shit happens.
Okay, so this is not you spoiling by any means, because the kid is so young at this point. But what are some things that you think now, being a parent, to us who we're in the registering process?
How far along are you?
Registering?
No.
Oh, with the baby?
Yeah.
5 months.
That's awesome.
I was I'm actually 70% done with my registry on baby list. But what are things that you say are worth it and aren't worth it in terms of? And this applies to stuff and night nurses, nannies, whole thing.
A fancy stroller
is worth it?
Yeah, I think so.
You got the bugaboo?
I don't know, some $1,500 thing.
That's the bugaboo.
No, it's called Silver something. Silver Cross. I don't know. I went to the store and I was like, just show me the best one.
Give me the one I should get.
Whatever. I don't even know how. It was expensive. And then the fanciest car seat, which I don't even know what it is, but it's nice. And then the safest car. So those are the obvious ones. I don't know what else is. Dude, we just use, what's that thing called, an egg? Where you change them?
Oh, peanut changer.
Peanut.
They say that's the number one registered thing.
We just have that. We had that. Okay, so when we had our kid, we had that. People gifted us stuff, they gifted us too much stuff. We had to return a lot of it. But we had that, a blanket on it, and then just on top of a dresser, and then like $150 crib, and I think we borrowed a snoo from someone, and then diapers from Coterie, and then eventually Kirkland diapers. Do you guys have Kirkland here, Costco in New York? Do you have Costco in New York?
Not that I've
Yes.
been to. We do. Okay.
Okay, well, like Kirkland diapers, and we didn't really have too much stuff. A lot of people gifted us clothes, but that was it. Like we didn't have much. The cool thing is if you do need something, you can get it the next day.
No question. So get the good stroller. That's worth it.
That's worth it, I think, because like I think items that you use on a consistent basis. Like, have you ever bought a car and you are unhappy with the car because you're like, I wish I would have gotten the heated seats because my ass is freezing all the time, but I was afraid to splurge $1,000. Just get rid of go ahead and get the nicest thing that you think will actually make a difference. And in my opinion, a stroller for sure.
Night nurse.
Oh my God.
Because it saves you on
Greatest
sleep.
thing. So
Yeah.
people are like, are you tired? I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not tired at all. Like, so basically a night nurse, that's such a over ambitious term. It's basically a woman who sleeps in my house and sleeps in the same room as the baby. And then when the baby cries, they bring the baby to mom or they give them a bottle, whatever the plan is. And that's awesome. My sleep was didn't change at all. And it's expensive. I think we spent $6,000 a month on it. Or maybe $5,000, I don't remember, $5,000 or $6,000 a month. So it's expensive. So it's like a total luxury item. But yeah, it's like the greatest thing ever. My sleep is perfect.
But as an entrepreneur, did you find that to be? And did your wife work the whole time?
She had 6 or 5 months off.
Okay.
Which is insane.
Yeah, that's insane. That's
Insane. Yeah. Thanks, Airbnb. Yeah. And so she had the month off leading up to it, and then I think 4 or 5 months after. Very lucky, very fortunate. But the night nurse was like the greatest thing ever. And then we recently hired a nanny. But and I hated the idea of a nanny. I didn't want some other person raising my kid. But I work from home, so I'm around her all the time. So what I did was I put a desk in the living room where the baby plays. And so I just put AirPods in, and I'm just hanging out with them all the time. And then when I'm done with the call, I'll go say, "Hey, baby, how are you? And what's up?" So it's actually not that bad. But yeah, a nanny's awesome. Yeah, I just got like a $150 desk on Amazon, like a stand-up desk, and I put it right in the living room. And so I'm like working and hanging out with them.
Interacting.
Yeah.
But it's not your full time. You don't have to have because the nanny's there.
Yeah, the nanny's there.
Right.
But like I'm there and I'm
It's still time.
And like every few minutes I'm gonna go and rub her face and say hi. And then we got these things, dude, this is awesome. Here's a little hack. We got these things that feel like a rug, or it looks like a carpet and you walk around on them, but they're like these mats. And so what I wanted to do was make like the living space of your home, in my opinion, it should be like, there's this guy who does named Ida Portal. He's this like guy who does a lot of stretching and stuff, and he tries to encourage children and older people to stretch. And he's got this phrase called "let them dirty the walls," meaning like let your kids like play, like let them play, and like who cares if the walls are dirty? Like the point of living and owning things is so you can have a sweet life. And so I was like, I totally agree with that. And so we made our home is built around the baby laying in the middle of the floor. Oh. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
And so like I've got a desk and situated here, but then we got these like nice mats that are around, and then like we don't have a coffee table, but we have couches around it, and so the baby can lay there, and we're just hanging out, and we can all enjoy being near her.
You probably like that.
Yeah,
the baby
awesome.
being in the middle is
Yeah, and so that's kind of how we set up the house, like the feng shui or whatever, and it's pretty awesome.
So baby's face going online.
My wife said absolutely not.
Okay.
I mostly follow that. You know, if I think I have 300,000 Twitter followers, and then hundreds of thousands on YouTube, and then maybe only 50,000 on Instagram. And so I occasionally, as long as the baby's face isn't the main thing, I'll post her sometimes on my stories, and I'll only share pictures of her on Facebook because that's all of my friends, real
right.
friends. Oh, are you going to do it?
I don't know. People kept asking me in the DMs, are you going to do it? And I said at the beginning, I think most babies look alike.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling fine about that. And then from there, that's where I struggle when they really start to develop kind of their look. I don't know. So I haven't had to think past that.
It is weird because like the kid didn't sign up for it.
Right.
So I don't want to like put them on the spot. If it, they're just I shouldn't try to make them a big deal if that's not what they want to be.
Totally.
I also think that I follow a bunch of like cute babies on Instagram, and like I see the comments and people are like, "Why does that 2-year-old have a pacifier in?" And like people criticizing, and I'm like, dude, fuck that. I don't want to have that in my life of like criticizing everything I do.
Right. And it's not fair for them because, as you say, they didn't sign up for it. So I think you can still show so much around the way you, like their nursery and things like that.
Yeah.
That doesn't involve their face being in it. And so I think you can still share plenty of our lives that have to do with it, but not their specific face. Because you know what I can do now? I can think of like 5 influencers right now that show their kid's face that are like 5 or 6 years old. I could pick them out of a lineup.
Yeah, and that's kind of weird.
It's kind of weird.
It's not that weird because I follow it and I like seeing these families and
They're
I feel like I grow
adorable.
with them. But there is like, I just don't think the risk is worth the reward.
Especially people start to criticize their looks, and then if they get older and look back and see that, it's like that there's no place for that. That's just mean.
You maybe have this. Do you have video of you when you're a kid?
I'm sure.
I don't. Like,
Okay.
I don't really have, like, my parents didn't have a video camera. And it's kind of weird that our kids are going to, like, look, you can look at, like, the photo description. This was this day, this time. Here's the city we are in. It's kind of weird that they're going to be raised with this. Mm-hmm. And my wife just doesn't want that to be, those intimate moments to be public. She wants it to be shared with us. So I'm on board with it. But that's probably not the decision I would have made entirely, but I totally get it. Particularly, like, with a young girl, I do think there's just fucking weirdos.
There's a lot of weirdos out there.
On the topic, did you want to go somewhere?
No, go.
On the topic of kids being raised with screens in front of their faces, I just started the anxious generation.
Yeah, hell yeah. Dude, isn't it crazy? So you and I aren't exactly in tech, but kind of in tech. We're in the internet. You're in the internet too. The people who are making the stuff are the ones who are most likely to say, I don't want my kid around it. Mm-hmm. That's insane, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want my kid around it.
It's wild.
It's wild that I'm just as guilty. I invent things that hopefully I can get people addicted to. I think you'll be an iPad out to dinner.
No
family.
chance. And I say it now.
I say it now. I think I'll stick with it. But
You do? I think we're
think so.
better if we can.
yeah, we got to.
My
got
sister
to.
has just like, I respect a lot of the parenting decisions she's made. I think she's been really good at that. But, she does say like there is a time and a place for an iPad that like ultimately for your happiness and sanity
it's
and
easy.
child sanity, like sometimes you just need to step
And it's easier for us to say, it's easy for me to criticize this. I've not experienced it yet. But yeah, that bothers me. I don't like that at all.
Have you read you read like a book a week?
Yeah, I read a lot. I don't try to read a lot. I just follow whatever's interesting.
And have you read any good books on parenting that you think are worth talking
The
about?
only one that I only read one. So I read history because I just want to like find patterns and just like copy the winners and ignore the losing mistake, like ignore the people admire the mistakes they made, like or try to not make those mistakes. I read Raising Up Bébé. Have you seen
Oh, yes. B, and they have the...
Yeah,
Yeah.
the French one. That was pretty dope. The premise was like, I have no idea how legitimate this is, but it was like French women are more liberal, meaning maybe not liberal is the right word. They're less conservative, meaning get the epidural, like it'll be fine, or like feed the kid exactly what you're eating. Or let them cry. Like if they're in their bed, like let them cry for a certain amount of time. Don't coddle them too much. And that's what we did. So I read that book. That was pretty good.
I've seen that one. Okay, maybe we should read that.
It was fun.
Have you had... Okay, so we shared our parenting fail that we already had, which was when did you see it?
Yeah, well, yeah, I know it went viral, and you asked me that, and I was like, shit, I hope they don't ask me that, because...
If you don't have one, good for you.
Dude,
Or if you didn't go to a pediatrician first, great.
it was just all luck, I think. Like, our kid was just like, it's like easy, and it's like she sleeps perfectly. Frankly, I think it's a lot of luck.
Yeah.
What fail did you guys have?
We went to our first doctor's appointment to get the scan and everything. We went to a pediatrician, not an OBGYN. Like, when the kid
Is that
goes...
the wrong one?
Yeah, it's the wrong one.
Oh, you went to a pediatrician?
Yeah, and he just like stared at us. And he was like,
Go to the wrong place.
he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm pregnant. And he was like, what? Why are you here? And I
Oh,
was
that's
like,
hilarious.
I
That's
was-
so funny.
he goes, you have to go to an OB. And I was like, no shit.
It was tragic. Like all of our families were like waiting on like the report back.
But they didn't
and-
tell you guys never used the word pediatrician with them, and they corrected you.
2 Dr. Cohen's, I think, was the problem. He made the doctor's appointment.
There's a million Dr. Codes, so that's an understandable.
And we were floor 4, and there was no kid. I'm like, why did you even take us to the back? We were the
Did you
first
conceive
appointment.
naturally?
Yes.
Is that TMI?
No,
Sorry.
no, not at all. We were trying. We knew each other for 3 months.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and we were trying.
Congratulations, you know what you want.
Yeah.
We did the what's it called? Embryo freezing, and then
Yes.
what's it called? IVF. Mm-hmm. So we're there at the surgery, or not a surgery, but where they basically put the thing inside of her. And they were like, she was in her gown, and we were in the room. We were like, all right, we're gonna do this. Just look over this paperwork, just in case, and make sure everything's right. And I read it, and I'm like, it says boy here. And they go, yeah, we're gonna put a boy in. I was like, no, like this is supposed to be a girl. Like we were very explicit, like many times. And so they almost put the wrong, and so we had to like wait like another day or two, and like it was an issue.
Yo, talk about a parenting win.
Thank God I would have never read that sheet. I'd be like, perfect. It was the
Yeah,
wrong.
it was the wrong one. And I like flipped a shit. I was like, can I speak to you guys in the hallway?
I mean, yeah.
I don't trust if you make this mistake, what other mistake are you gonna make?
I would have been. Yeah.
So yeah.
Wait,
that
so
was
you chose a girl?
a boy at first, and then we had a miscarriage, and then the second time it was a girl. And then but they got it wrong. The second time it was the wrong gender.
That is
How do you-
just something that, especially assuming with like your, both of your kind of A-type personalities between you. and your
Yeah, it
wife,
was an
like,
issue.
How do you get comfortable there?
It was a huge issue. Like I remember I was like, I need to speak to you in the hallway. I was like, look, I'm gonna flip a lid right now. Like I'm freaking out, and I'm not gonna do it in front of her because I gotta keep her calm. This is fucked up. I don't trust anything you guys are gonna do. I was like, I want to walk with you back in this office, and we're gonna pick it together, and I want you to show me and explain everything. I mean, it was like it was a big deal.
Holy.
Yeah, and like the man's supposed to be like calming because the woman's freaking out and everything, and yeah, it was an issue.
I mean, yeah, that's a win. That's the complete opposite of what we did.
What do you mean? What did you
We
do?
just didn't double check,
You
triple
just had
check.
sex, though, right?
Well,
Like-
I meant our parenting fail where we just kind of like loosely went to the pediatrician's office and obviously read nothing. And then you read the sheet, which is just like, I'm kind of shocked. that they
Well,
were-
I didn't read that much though. It's pretty crazy. Here's what I did read before we had a baby. I read the biography of Lewis and Clark. So that
Okay,
part.
let's just call a spade a spade. She doesn't know who Lewis and Clark is.
I do too.
I don't know who Lewis and Clark is.
That's because you're
Well,
not
you're
from
Canadian.
America.
Oh, okay.
All right, so-
you know?
Yes.
Oh, so I'm the loser here.
Lewis and Clark. When Thomas Jefferson was president, this was in the late 1700s. Up until that point, America basically they owned it, but they'd never been west of the Mississippi. Jefferson goes, "Hey, Lewis and Clark, 2 guys, go and figure out what's out there. We don't know what's out there. We hear there's an ocean. See if you can make it out to that ocean and back, and like let us know what you find." They're gone for 2 years, just like talking to Native Americans and like saying, "Please don't kill us. We're here in peace. Let us get through." Right when their journey starts, they meet this woman named Sacagawea. Have you heard of Sacagawea?
I could lie, but I have not.
In America, she's a huge deal, right? Sacagawea is like, at this point, it's almost like an urban legend, but she's a real person. She's like has a mythical, like you're the greatest person ever.
Are the commentators going to come after me for not knowing? any
No,
of
he's
this?
Canadian.
Canadian, yeah. It's really, yeah. I mean,
You're Canadian. It's all right. But in America, Sacagawea is like she's on the gold dollar, like she's on a coin. Like this is how big of a deal she is. And anyway, when she was 23, and she had a 2-month-old kid, and she walked from Missouri to California and back over 2 years in the woods over an area that no one had ever, or no white Americans at least, had ever been. And I don't think she had been there either. And she went through the Rocky Mountains in the wintertime. And all she had with this fucking kid was a leather sack. And I remember reading that, and I'm like, this kid turns out fine. Like, this is going to be all right. And I remember reading that, like, if Sacagawea could do it with, like, nothing in the middle of winter in Colorado for 2 years, like, back and forth, this is going to be cream cheese, baby. This is easy. And so, like, that made me so much calmer to know, like, when you think about it, like, at a primal level, like, man, we've survived a lot. And so it could be all right.
That's what I hear. Like one of the anecdotes my friends tell me is like the first kid, like when the kid's sleeping, they're like looking at that baby monitor, every minute and a half. And then by the time the second kid comes, it's like, all right, I get it. Like this thing is built to last.
And the baby monitors are awesome. So we have this thing called a Nanit. Apparently, Nanit is like the expensive one that people get. I don't know how much it costs, maybe $400 or something like that.
I think it's like $380. Yeah,
it's expensive, and it like tells you if the kid's breathing. It tells you the temperature of the room. It tells you all this crazy stuff. When half the time though, we just use the $15 like walkie-talkie one, like we
the old school one
when we had kids.
Yes,
yeah, that works just great. But the Nanit, that's what we use all the time. The Nanit like tells you if the kid's alive, if they're breathing, and all this crazy stuff.
I mean, if you wake up in the middle of the night paranoid if they are or not, that would be...
Which you will once they start sleeping on their stomach.
I believe that.
It's weird at first, and you're like, is she breathing? It's weird.
Did you read the Lewis and Clark book because you knew the Sacagawea part was in there, or that was a surprise?
I was always inspired by Sacagawea, but I didn't know her story, so I wanted to learn more about it.
Okay.
She's like she's an interesting character. I mean, all those guys all are. But basically, before we had the kid, I read all these books about hardship. I wanted to learn about hardship, and I wanted to learn about how to be like a high integrity man and be like a masculine guy, which means like follow on your word, like don't treat people disrespectfully. So I read all these books on like kind of men in America are weird. We don't really have like a rite of passage, in my opinion. And so there's not like a time, I guess if you're Jewish, you have a bar mitzvah, but there's not like a time where you're like, you are now officially a man. Women have that.
We sure do.
You have a physical thing that changes.
A day.
And so I've always like, when I started having a kid, I was like, wow, I'm going to be a man now. I better like fucking learn how to become a man. And so I read all this like hardship, become a man stuff, and Lewis and Clark I thought was cool.
And so is that the number one book recommendation for me?
That's interesting.
As I need to become a man? For the male listeners.
That one was awesome. I like The Comfort Crisis. The Comfort Crisis is a cool book. It talks about like how to be uncomfortable and what you can learn from it. And there's this cool concept called a misogi. Have you heard of a misogi? Misogi is based off of this Japanese myth. Apparently this guy, I think his name was Misogi, his wife gets kidnapped to hell. He goes through this huge journey, this physical journey of fighting and finding her and grabbing her and bringing her back. And at the end of the journey, he goes through this waterfall. I think the waterfall was called Misogi. And he washes off all the grime that was on him. And he's like, I am now a man. Like I just experienced all this hardship. And so the modern day misogi is basically, there's this guy in Santa Barbara, and he was written about in this book, and he has this thing where he goes, I'm going to pick a physical thing that I have to do a couple times a year, where there's only a 50% chance that I can do it, and as long as I don't die, that's a success. So for what he does is he would do a paddle board. He was like, there's an island out there, I think it's 15 miles away. I'm paddleboarding out to that mountain or out to that island and back, and hopefully it'll be okay. And so picking these like physical challenge I found was like kind of interesting. So for me, I'm running a 50-mile race, or before that I would do like all these other challenges. For me, that was like a cool thing of like, I got to get into the habit of like following through on what I'm saying, on teaching my family that hard work is important and these things. And so I read a lot of stuff about that.
Amazing. What was that book called?
The Comfort Crisis.
The Comfort Crisis.
It's awesome.
So after that preparation, that's unique preparation for a kid, I would say. I mean, I would say that's something that is really cool to look up to, the way that you did it. Like you wanted to teach your family that follow through your
look,
word.
like just set an example.
Yeah, set an example. What was something that you found once the baby came was the most surprising thing?
How masculine it made me feel. So,
Ooh.
like prior, you guys maybe feel this way, but our jobs, they're kind of a mission. It feels good to employ people, and you're like, I owe it to my staff and my customers to show up and do a good job so I can help provide for their families and all that stuff. But once I had a kid, I was like, that wasn't really a mission. Now my mission is like to protect my family and to provide emotionally and financially for them and things like that. And I was shocked at how much of a man that made me feel like. I was like, this is my purpose. This is why I exist. I exist to make this kid healthy and happy. And then the other shocking thing was, you're not starting. Are you showing? I don't think you're showing.
I am if I'm standing.
You got a little belly.
Yeah.
About how like my wife, Sarah, she went on a spiritual level to me of like, in terms of like, I'm like, I can't believe you're doing this, and you look awesome in the process, and you're handling it with so much poise, and this fucking thing just came out of you. I was like, you're a wizard. Like my love for her exceeded any type of like sex or anything like that. It was like, you're a deity. You're like this like spiritual being that I like will sacrifice everything for. And so like that was amazing about how much closer you become to your partner when you see them go through this crazy stuff.
Were you in the room when she gave birth?
We had a C-section. We had some difficulties, and so we had a C-section. But yeah, I was there. It's fucking disgusting. Dude, they like, you know what a C-section, what they do? They
just slice you, right?
Yeah, and they like kind of pull the uterus like out of your body, and then like they go, all right, your uterus is out of your body. Now we're gonna cut that open. And it took literally 4 minutes from the beginning to the baby crying, and it was out. And so, you're awake. The woman's awake, and you're just numbed. So you like kind of feel people touching, but you don't feel pain. So like it's pretty intense, but it's in a way it was kind of awesome because we just showed up at 7 a.m. We knew we were gonna have to be there in 3 days. It was like a doctor's appointment. You just show up and
come home with a baby.
Yeah, it's easy for me to say that it was awesome because I didn't.
Yeah, she had awake ab surgery.
Yeah, I mean it's like fucking intense. But like when you see what the woman goes through for that 9 months, 9 months is a long ass time.
Oh, the clock is crawling.
And then like you got to recover, like you're all fucked up for like another 6 or 12 months after that. Like it's intense. And so like this, just being like this human being is half me, half her. Like you are so special. Like just the bond that you form. I was shocked. I thought I loved my wife. And I was like, I joked with her. I was like, I would kill someone for you. And then I remember thinking, like, if it came once the kid was born, I was like, I would kill myself if I had to protect you. Like, and like that feeling is a really cool feeling to know that like you will do anything for someone. That's an awesome feeling. So I was shocked at how strong that emotion was.
Everyone says like you can't really describe it. Did you find it just to be? You didn't expect this, and you're saying it's the most surprising thing?
I just thought that I loved her already, and I thought that I was ready to love this child. I didn't realize how I was willing to sacrifice myself, and I know she would as well. I didn't realize like what that means. Like, you know, like when your mom, like when you're an asshole to your mom, she'd be like, you don't know what I went through to have you, or yeah, I would do anything for you, and you're gonna do this to me. And I remember like, oh, whatever. Now it's kind of crazy to feel this feeling. And it's emasculating, or it makes me feel masculine. It feels awesome. That feels really cool to have that purpose.
That is a great answer. It made him feel more masculine.
Yeah, it's like in a healthy type of masculine, particularly with a little girl. I think it's awesome because I mean, my baby's so young, but like you kind of start getting in touch a little bit with the feminine side, and it's like cool. It's like I want you to be pretty if that's what you want to feel like. I want you to like be cute and like it's nice, and I want to be gentle with you. That's like a really cool feeling. It's
like unbelievably powerful words, and you know, even though we're early in this process, like I have a line of sight into how you can potentially get there.
For sure.
Just watching what she goes through on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, just like right now, like you'll see, like, you know, they say the pregnant glow.
Yes.
Yeah, you're like, dude, or they'll be the women will be self-conscious, and I'm like, eat more. Eat more, get like chub, like get healthy, like you know what I mean? Like the traditional, you were attracted to her at first probably because of looks, and then eventually personality, and now it's like looks don't matter. Like
it's totally taken
chub up
to another level. I just like one funny like quick story that comes to mind though, and this is in the process of you going through is like yesterday she's like going to shower and she's like. I can't put this baby down. I can't go put it somewhere. Like it's still attached to me. Like there isn't a second of the day
it's
when
insane,
like
right?
I have a down moment. And like you and I find you know, as much as I want to appreciate it, like I still forget it because like I'll go do a workout at some workout class.
Yeah, you can do anything.
Come back feeling good. Like there she is, like still in bed, garbage can beside her. So it's unbelievable because
she might do it many more times.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
we want to do 4.
Yes, we want to have.
About this, yeah.
We say we want to have 4, and it's just like I got to sign up for this. Like 3 more times.
Yeah, she's gonna do it many times. You know, that's almost 3 years of being pregnant.
Willingly, yeah, but it's so worth it for the lifelong time of it.
Yeah, it's insane, right? It's insane, and so it is cool to like feel that like love for them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like beyond. It's like respect. I don't know how.
For sure. And I think like with goal setting, I think so often like we set goals and then when we reach those goals, like there isn't necessarily a tangible outcome. So I think like your 50-mile race is like a great example. Not to undermine it, but like you go and you do the 50-mile race and then you feel good about yourself and then what else really happens versus like with what she's going with what women go through in pregnancy, like they go through this grueling 9 months and
It's
it ends,
insane.
but there's a real light at the end of the tunnel, which is the child, which is just like not a lot of stuff in life has that.
Yeah, I think it
tangible,
changes
lifelong
your
effect.
perspective on women for sure. Like
It's changed mine, and I am a woman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
it's insane.
It really does. Okay, so I have two more questions, and they're totally different. So I guess the first one's going to be, I just want to know your favorite time of day with your daughter. Like is
Evening, nighttime.
Okay.
Yeah, 7 to 7:30. She's just taking a bath, and I feed her, and then we have like 20 minutes before she starts falling asleep, and she'll start falling asleep in your arms. It's the greatest thing ever. I remember like, everyone is going to tell you to do skin on skin. Is that what it's called?
Something like, I don't
Where
know if the middle word's on.
Basically,
Skin
like
to
you see
skin?
people, like at first when you're younger, you're like, why the fuck is this dad shirtless in the operating room or in the baby room?
Oh, I thought that was like for Instagram.
No, it's
No.
it's what the kid. It's for a bunch of things. One, I believe they're just like freezing. They're cold, and you want to like warm them up. And also, I guess there's some type of bond when it's skin on skin. And for the first 3 or so months, the doctors say skin on skin is really important. And so what you can do is, I remember you get her just in her diaper, so naked basically, and you have your shirt off, and you just like can lay on the couch, and she'll just like fall asleep on your arm, and you can have like a blanket over there. And and you turn the TV off, and you just hear him breathing. And it's like, I remember the first time we did that, I'm like, oh, I'm never gonna be. This is peak happiness. It's like it felt like I just took like MDMA, I was on Molly. Like you get like the greatest feeling ever. A lot of women will say that they feel like I don't know what I'm going to speak a little bit out of turn. It's like endorphins or something where when they breastfeed, they get like, it makes the woman feel good. I don't know. They're connected with the kid or something, but the closest I think as a man is like skin on skin when your kid's like sleeping on you. It's pretty awesome.
That's like euphoric. Yes,
Yeah.
So much to look forward to.
on
You better start
purpose.
working out, man, or shave your chest or do whatever you gotta do to look good shirtless.
It's going to be photos of that, her
Gotta
on
start
you.
paddleboarding.
Wait, you thought that was an Instagram thing? You
Yeah.
thought like a guy just wanted to like show off?
Yeah.
Like, God.
And I'll
You
double-
guys, you went to the wrong doctor. Do you read? Have you ever read Wikipedia?
I knew about skin on skin and Sacagawea.
at what point is that coming up in my
You got to
research
get a
process?
doula. If you get a doula, dude, the birthing process is weird. We had a doula. It was $1,500, and they just like you go to a class, and then you just can text her whenever you want, and they just like here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna get to the hospital. Let's go over the plan. So our doula was there at birth, but it's like let's go over the plan in case I'm not there. But so the doctor's gonna ask you these following questions. I'm going to walk you through what all the potential answers are, and you could tell me which answer you think fits your plan, and this way you're prepared. Hey, Dad, when she goes into labor at home, it might take 24 hours. I suggest downloading this app so you know that contractions are in between this time. Feed her this type of food. Like you can rub her here, and like you do like if she gets on her knees and you like rub her like in her ass or something, it somehow like makes her feel better. Like you learn all these like weird things, but you go to like 2 or 3 classes like when she's 7 or 8 months pregnant, and you like can learn all this stuff.
Yeah, we're focused on getting through the second trimester right now, and
Yeah, which is scary.
we're on an education lag, I would say.
You just gotta go and like, isn't there like a baby for dummies thing? My wife like learned all this shit. And just told
I'm
me.
not on the lag. I'm reading books.
It's always
I
they
know.
always are reading. But honestly, if you get a doula, you just go to like 2 classes,
Yeah.
and do you have a doula? Are you gonna get a
No,
doula?
I didn't even know that exists. This is the first time I've heard that word.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Dude, you're in Manhattan. This is like doula, like
I think
doula
it's
capital.
my friend references, my best friends with kids are in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I don't think they do that shit in the Midwest.
So I don't think that's why I haven't heard about it. Because it's
yeah,
here.
they just know how to pop them out.
So it's a doula, and that just
DOOLA.
okay.
It's basically a person you hire in advance. I believe they have a license from the government, and oftentimes, dude, the comments might make fun of me. I'm gonna get this maybe some of the rules wrong, but they're like, It's like a you go to school or something for it, and you have some type of medical background, and they've gone through hundreds and hundreds or thousands of births, and they just tell you what to expect, and you can go to a class, and it's like having a coach, I guess.
Knowing
Wow.
us, we're going to go to book a doula and book a yogi instead and just do like 3 months of
Dude, I
yoga
bet you there's
and
like ask
just
your
come back
friends,
with the
ask your
wrong-
friends, ask your friends in New York, and they'll have one. We paid $1,500. The prices here are probably way more expensive, but ask your friends. But I bet you there's some website where it's like Yelp for doulas or something like that.
Oh, I'm sure. I bet up here especially.
Yeah, but you should get on it now.
Yeah, we need to get on the list, right, for all these things, wherever we land
It's
to.
insane. You got to like do that. But yeah, a doula is like awesome. They basically just tell you what to expect.
That's great.
It's pretty awesome. You've never heard that?
Never even heard
You
the
have
term.
female friends?
So many, and we talk all the time about things to expect.
Do any of them have kids?
Yeah, all of them. They told me what to register for. Like, I have this group text of like moms that I
Who
ask
has
questions
not told
to.
you about a doula?
I'm gonna ask them when we leave. Like, have any of you ever even heard of a doula?
I'm surprised the commentators haven't come up with this as well.
Doula?
I
Yeah.
think, by the way, this is like a yuppie thing. But if you're asking about night nurses, I assume that you'd be in the doula like sphere.
Didn't even know it was an option.
Yeah.
No one has even brought
What's
that
your
up.
name, Remy?
Remy,
Do you know what a doula is? Do you know what
Really?
it's ridiculous. They don't know that, right?
It surprised me that you didn't know that.
oh my God. I'm gonna take a poll after
We
this.
have blind spots. We have blind
Friends
spots.
That were doulas. Like I had a female friend while I was in college that she was like, "Oh yeah, I do like doula stuff."
It's
I-
also like a phrase. Sometimes you're like, I need a doula to teach me how to do this thing. You know what I mean? Like,
It's like a verb.
I
It's
guess.
like a verb of somebody who helps give birth.
Yeah.
They don't make it outside of context. People say like, "Oh, the doula of my business."
Yeah.
Like, create-
Like I need a deal doula when I'm selling my company. Like someone to tell
Somebody
me like what
just
to
tells
expect.
you. Okay, I had no idea.
If I get a doula, will I be able to sell the naked market?
To the doula? Oh, a deal doula is a great idea though. When you sell your company, someone telling you what to expect along the way. But that's a phrase, doula, or it's a saying, a
I gotta
doula.
Google it. I mean, you just blew my mind. That's something that I did not
Yeah,
know.
you guys should get a doula. Like doula ranks quite high next to night nurse.
Something that we really need is a doula.
Yeah, because you seem like you're out of it, man.
We got pregnant in like 20 days.
You're fertile. Congratulations.
So, but that's what I'm saying. We just didn't really prepare, but now we are. We're preparing now.
That's all right. You dedicated a whole podcast to it. I think you're gonna work your way through it.
We're gonna learn
I'm shocked.
so much.
No one
Learning
has-
live.
What? You're what?
Learning live.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm just shocked that no one has used that word.
Not one person. I need to talk to everybody that I've talked to now. Okay, so my last question for you is, because we talked a lot about the finer things of parenting, right? Like the doula, so to speak. But for somebody that's not in the place they want to be financially yet, but they are having a kid, what's your advice for them?
I hate talking about this because the advice sucks.
Your specific advice sucks?
Yeah.
All right.
Life is in this process. Life is a lot easier if you're not poor and broke. But the reason I don't like saying that is because it's too late now for a lot of the people that are in the process.
He doubles
Like,
down.
that's just a fact. It sucks more. Mm-hmm. Obviously, most everyone does it. But like, for example, people would be like, "Hey, I want to start a company. I've got young kids," and like, I think that if you don't speak English or you're an English as a second language person, or you have children, starting a business is way harder for those two groups of people. And that I hate saying that to people because I'm like, yeah, it's just harder. You have less advantages. And so for people who don't have a lot of money or income and it's tight, yeah, it fucking sucks. It sucks.
But let it be inspiration, actually, for those that are thinking about it, knowing it's only going to get harder, or it's a little kick in the ass for somebody that's not where they want to be.
I think it's definitely a kick in the ass. Like I said, I'm a history guy, so I like studying history. And one of my favorite stories is Cortez. Cortez was the Spanish guy who came over, and they're like, we want to kick ass in America. So they land their boats, and he lights the boats on fire. And his troops are like,
Not leaving.
what the hell? And he goes, now we better make it work.
I love that.
And I love burning the boats in a variety of ways. And having a kid, I think, is the best way to burn the figurative boat where it's like, I've got to make this work. This has to work. I love those situations. And so I said that it's harder. you could also say maybe it's easier now. You got a reason to make it work. My father started a business when I was a kid, and he was like, I remember asking him about it. He's like, I had to make this work. I had a tuition to pay, and I had to feed you guys, and so there was no plan B. And so I think that is a kick in the ass. But if you're not a go-getter, I would say, yeah, it is more challenging.
I like the kick in the. I like the burn the boats. One of my best friends told me it will be the biggest kick in the ass ever because you want to provide for the family. You want to make things just easier.
Yeah, I think someone described it to me. I was like, hey, were you bummed when you had a kid? Because now you can't do all the fun things that you used to do. He's like, well, no, because A, he's like, you're right, I can't do those things. But B, I don't want to. I want to do these other things. And so when we talk about, I now have this thing to provide for, or this human to provide for, it sounds like a burden, and it is a burden, but it's an awesome burden. It feels awesome to like have that on your back.
The kind of burden you want.
Yeah, so I think it's awesome.
Because you said, help me here, Harrison, it was something like, keep your old you. What was the quote that we were talking about that he had said? About taking about not letting yourself die when you have a family, like when the kid comes, keeping like your spirit alive or something.
I don't think that was him.
I think you're attributing a quote to a much smarter person.
What we said is Sam would be very honest, which he has been.
Yeah, which he has been.
I don't know if I said that.
I'll look it up. I feel like it's in a note somewhere. It was a good quote. I liked it. I was going to ask you
Just
about
say
it.
I said it.
Yeah,
I don't know if I did.
I'll put it up on Instagram. A little quote that you said.
Yeah, it'll be like that other person, and then below you could just like
AKA in parentheses you.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't even remember what we were talking about. But yeah, it's harder.
It's harder, but it's harder in the good way. It's the good kind of hard.
Yeah, I think that I've got like, this might be controversial. I think that like pretty much the purpose of life is to procreate. Like if you look at like why do we do anything we do, at least from a man's perspective, it's to get laid. Like money and power and like dress and like it's to get laid. I imagine it's the same for a woman. It's like, well, what does getting laid mean? It's to procreate. Mm-hmm. And so like to me, it's like the pinnacle of like this is my purpose. This is why like a million years of species like of the species has like been here. It's just to do this one thing. It feels kind of awesome to like tap into that and be part of the million plus years of and I think it's cool.
I would think cool is a really loose term to put it. I think it would be like the most fulfilling thing on the planet.
Yeah, fulfilling. Yeah.
I think
no question. It's literally the reason why you are here on this planet.
At least to replace yourself. Yes.
Yeah. And to pass on your genes. That is like the pinnacle of a human's experience is to pass on your genes. And I realize some people can't do that, or some people don't want to do that. Great, do what makes you happy. But for the majority of people, I think it's like the pinnacle of living. Particularly, have you felt like in New York, you're like, it's like all your friends have like Peter Pan syndrome, where they're like in their 30s or 40s and they're kind of single or casual with people, and they're like fucking doing drugs to find themselves and all this shit. And it's like, have a kid where you don't worry so much about yourself, you worry about someone else a little bit more.
Yeah. I think it's that fine balance where like you want to live life and have lived enough life that, you know, you're not always looking over the fence at what the grass on the other side looks like. And I think that's, you know, one thing about our approach to doing this.
Do you feel like you've lived a lot?
Oh yeah. I feel I live more than
you feel ready?
Like very ready.
Same. That's how I feel too.
We're just so excited. It's why we could move as fast as we have.
You know how people say, oh, you're never going to be ready. There's never a time where you're going to feel ready. Nonsense. I think that's nonsense. I felt ready. Seems like you feel ready.
Yeah, we just are like, we're talking about kids 2, 3, and 4 right now. Like that is like we want to go and build a family and just like start that, you know, next chapter of. And it's not like I was looking for purpose beforehand, right? And I was a lost person. Like I love life and I had a lot of fun, but it just felt that you know, I'd had enough nights out. I'd been on enough dates. I'd met enough amazing women that it was time to move on.
Are you guys going to get married?
Yeah. So we were going to, and then when the baby started to bake in the oven, as I call it, we put it on the back burner. We were like, let's get this kid out. It's not our top priority.
Are you going to do like a court wedding?
It'll be like a small, yeah. No, we're not going to get married before we have the kid though.
Got it. After sometime, but it's just like on the back burner because we're going to move. Whose last name will the baby have?
His.
Nice.
And that was my choice.
Nice.
This was a Q&A.
That was really important for me.
Does your wife have your last name?
Yeah, that was important to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I love that tradition.
Yeah, me too.
I think, and I want everybody in the family, like it is sad for me that when she comes out, she is going to have his last name and I'm not. But I'm the one that said, like, let me just get ahead of this really quickly because I knew we had talked about how we want to get married. Eventually, we're all going to end up with the same last name. And the way that happens is she goes first and then I take it eventually.
Would you be bummed if the baby looks more like him?
No, because I think he's really cute.
All right, that's a good answer. My wife's black. My kid looks identical to me, and I am as white as can be.
Your kid looks identical to you?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I'm like, Sarah, are you sad? And she says she's not.
Really?
But I'm curious. Like, she did all the work.
Yeah, right. You're like, oh, that's interesting.
My kid does not look black.
Not mixed skinned at all either.
Not right
White
now.
as Wonder Bread.
Yeah, blue-eyed.
No kidding.
Not right. Right now, she looks very white.
That can shift over time. I don't know about skin tone, but I know like hair and eyes can.
Yeah, it could. But right now, my DNA is strong.
That is funny.
Yeah. So that's cool that the kid will have your last name. I wanted that too.
Yeah, I think it's sweet.
Yeah, I don't know why I wanted it. I guess like I just wanted to be the boss or like the person in control. But
All the books you were reading.
yeah, I just want to be like a Spanish conqueror. I don't know, but I
You
just
wanted to conquer the family.
I just wanted the kid to have my last name. I just that was important to me. But I know. Oh, and you're not raising the kid here.
No, that's not the plan. We're gonna move. So
Can you imagine people who do have kids in Manhattan?
No.
I would love to hear, because you've been moving around. And,
Yeah, I'm in Connecticut now for a while.
and so I'd love to hear your thought process on choosing where to raise a child.
I wanted my kid to be in a low crime area. I wanted my kid to not to be consumerism is like a dial, so it's like 1 to 10. It's never a 0. With 10 being the most, I wanted it to be somewhere where it was dialed down a little bit. I wanted them to be as safe as possible. I chose Connecticut because I'm from Missouri. I'd never been to Connecticut until like a few months ago. I thought Connecticut was just white people playing tennis, which it is.
Just right.
Yeah. But I wanted to be within an hour's driving distance of my in-laws because I felt, I think life's a lot better when you have grandparents around, when you have your own blood to like take care of the child, but more so like so the child can be, I like my in-laws, so I want my kid to be influenced by them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I purposely left a community that I love, Austin, where I have all my best friends there, to be around family and blood. I just felt that was important. So yeah, I did it. I wish I were still in Austin, but it is the right decision. Your parents aren't going to be around though, right?
Well, I guess it
depends if you like them.
It's a tricky one for us because like she's really close with her family. I'm really close with
And
our
you're from,
family.
are they in Oklahoma?
Yep, still.
And you guys aren't going to live in Oklahoma.
And we're not going to live in Vancouver either. So it was like what we like about, Austin and where it's probably the front runner right now is it is driving distance from Oklahoma City. And
Yeah, it's about 8 hours.
My brother's in Dallas, so we're a straight line down.
That makes sense.
And then the summer is the handoff, and that's full, and that's where it has to be Whistler with his family.
And does your mom and dad have other grandkids?
Not yet. We're the first.
Then they're going to move to Austin or Dallas.
I do believe that they will.
Yeah, Texas is the way to go.
we are.
Yeah, Texas is the way to go then. Yeah, I think that's so important. I think doing it where you don't have family is playing it on hard mode, and it's also going to you're going to feel less fulfilled.
Yeah, and I had some of my most amazing memories growing up were with my grandparents. So
I think it's particularly special. The woman needs, I think, the mother around for like a little while as well. Like there's a bond that they have that you can't that is hard to understand. I think the woman's parents or mother in particular needs to be around.
her mom is a super mom too.
Yeah, and it is. I never understood that. Both of our parents said, because at first we were going to raise the baby in Manhattan, and they both said, you're not going to have family nearby. And I was like, that's fine. And then about a month in, I was like, that might not be fine.
Yeah, I think that's super important. I think like community and family is like the most important thing. I think you have to have them. Dude, Manhattan is fucking hard. Do you know how much kindergarten costs here for a private school?
Do you know what is it?
60 G's for a lot of them.
That's the number I heard too.
Fucking 60 grand. That's $5,000 a month.
That's crazy. It's crazy.
And you have to like interview and like
to get in.
Yeah, I know someone who hired a coach to coach their kid to succeed and coach the parents to succeed and get the interview.
To kindergarten?
I swear to God.
That's where our game plan was to always be out of the city by the time that rat race started.
And it's just small things. Like when I stay in Brooklyn, like there's these guys that sit outside and smoke weed all day. They're not doing anything wrong, but it's just a slight thing where it changes to where the dad's like, I can't have this. Like, I can't have any remote danger around the situation.
Right. And you don't really understand that until you start the process. You don't think about where you live until you have to think about where you live and you raise this baby. And then everything's different.
Yeah. Or like getting your kid in a cab, in a car seat. Like,
everyone was messaging me, what are you going to do about that? And I was like, move.
Yeah,
That's
or you
what
could
we're
just
gonna do.
walk everywhere, but there's no big deal. A lot of people do it. I've got friends who do it. But yeah, my opinion, I think that raising a kid here in Manhattan is like the hardest thing ever. And you got to be so rich. To afford this shit. I don't know how people fucking do it.
We were looking at places and it was just like, we're going to be miserable in these places and paying $15,000. And we're going to
$15,000.
It's going to be like subpar.
And we weren't happy with
Dude, I looked at places here to rent. It was $15,000 for an okay place.
Yeah.
Like we're talking 1,500 square feet.
No, and it was truly okay-ish, and the kitchen wasn't redone, and we're like,
Insane.
And-
I looked at it too. I saw a place that was $15,000, and I was like, this is gonna be a pad. And you get there and like, no, this is like okay.
And then we finally found one we loved, and we got rejected for it.
Why?
Why
we
did
could
we
say
get
it now
rejected
because
for
we're
it?
not moving into it. Because I had made a joke on a podcast episode when we first met. We were on the phone FaceTiming, and it was November 1st, and I was like, "Oh, it's the 1st." And he was like, "Oh my God, I hadn't paid rent yet." And he ran downstairs and he paid rent, and I was like, "Holy shit, guys, I'm not that with it. Like, I forget my rent. If he's forgetting, like, which one of us is going to pay rent?" That was the joke I made.
And they canceled that on you?
They found that episode and they brought it up.
That is awesome. That is so New York. That is
Yeah.
so
They
funny.
were
They
like,
did
"You guys-"
research on you.
They're like, "You guys don't pay rent," and we were like, sending them like Forbes articles of him, and they were like, "Well, you don't pay rent," and I was
That
like,
is so funny.
Yeah, and we fought so hard. I was like, "Can we pay it all up front?" And they're just like, "No, that's not illegal. Like, we just don't want that in the building."
Dude, that's why I hate New York, is because
Yeah.
that stupid co-op shit.
Yeah.
There's like,
Yes.
there's like a little subtle hint of racism thrown in there too. I hate that
yeah,
shit.
we were just like, "What?" Yeah, so it was silly. Where are you? Are you public or private school for your kid?
I went to a private school. I wasn't wealthy, but like private school where I'm from in St. Louis wasn't that big of a deal. And it was single sex. I would love my kid to go to a single sex private school. My wife is strongly in favor of public school, so I'm okay with that. I'm also okay with homeschooling.
Really? Would
Yeah.
you do that, or would your wife do it?
There's these new things where you get like a teacher and then like 3 or 4 other kids, and you have like your own little thing. But I would love to homeschool, but I don't think it's going to be in the cards.
Okay, so you were indifferent on school. You don't have a strong stance.
This is my libertarian like side where I'm like, I don't want the government teaching my kids what to do. Fuck them.
And so,
Yeah,
would you have a hand in the education material?
Yeah, I would love that. I don't think it's going to happen, but yeah, I would like that.
Yeah, it'll
Yeah.
be really interesting to see how the education system changes over.
Wait
that
till you move
next
to
20
Texas,
years.
dude. Austin's going to change your perspective on a few things, on education, because it's very libertarian there, and on diet. So like letting your kids have sugar at a certain age or not letting them have sugar. Like where I moved out here in Connecticut, I moved across the street from a farmer's market on purpose because I only want to buy meat and produce that comes from like an hour's radius because I want it to be not have any chemicals and stuff like that. Wait till you go to Austin. Austin is the most health-centric city I've ever been to.
Yeah, I think the one area that will be like strict psycho parents is the food. Just because like
sure.
I come from that industry, and
Yeah.
so, like I have a firsthand look into what actually happens, in
Well, and
these facilities and at these farms.
You probably grew up like me, and you definitely did. I bet eating like American cheese and like flavored yogurt and store brand jelly and like
Yeah, I
it's like
ate out of
junk.
packages growing up.
Yeah, and so like the food thing has changed now for this generation, and so like that's pretty cool. Like you're gonna learn like now what they say is like a lot of the like granola people, which I follow, is like give your kid like a hunk of meat and just let them like bite into it, like things like that. Which I'm on board with, or like give them whole vegetables as opposed to mushing them up.
Yeah, I think all that stuff's fascinating.
Yeah, I'm totally into it.
I can't wait to learn more about that.
You got plenty of time. They're not going to eat till they're 6 or so months, but you got plenty of time.
We're like, okay, great, good to know the number, 6 or so months.
I think
Write it
6,
down.
6 years or 6
maybe
months?
5 months. It could be 5 months, but yeah, you got plenty of time.
How old's your daughter right now?
Close to 7 months.
Okay.
You got time. Like she's just now like eating a banana or a sweet potato.
So cute. Shoot.
You got plenty of time. But yeah, the diet thing is that causes a lot of fights with the in-laws and grandparents too, because they're like, I'm just gonna give them a little bit of sugar. You're like, fuck no, Mom. I said no.
Right.
Yeah, that causes a lot of fights. Is diet? I think diet causes more fights almost than anything.
So I gave my parents the Mark Hyman book, Young Forever.
Do they like it?
So they liked it, they loved it, and they've implemented a lot of his practices around eating
You're
and
good.
lifestyle.
It's her parents you got to be worried about. The Oklahoma family.
Yeah.
So surprisingly healthy though for, I would say, have you heard the term almond mom?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah,
You're good.
I had
Almond
that.
mom is like bad, but
Almond mom has a negative connotation attached to it where the mom just ate an almond. My mom was not that. She actually had a great relationship and taught me like a lot about food. I mean, her pantry was very healthy.
yeah, then you're good. Like my parents would give me like ice cream in the morning because they said like it was like calcium.
Oh.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Okay.
But yeah, I think diet causes a lot of fights with parents. But it sounds like you guys are fine.
Yeah, they go to
I think we
grandparents'
all
house and
do.
they get to have the Pop-Tart type thing. Yeah.
Yeah, or they're like, hey, I said no sugar. I didn't say a little bit of sugar.
Right. And they're
You know?
like, sorry.
Yeah, things like that.
I can see that.
But you guys will like Austin. It's a very health-centric place.
Good. We were wondering why you moved. And we were worried it was going to be a bad thing, but
No, Austin's
family's
wonderful.
great.
Austin's wonderful. Like everyone, the joke is everyone has a cold plunge in their backyard. I had a cold plunge and a sauna. Like,
want
and
both
everyone had one.
The house we're looking at, like it has a sauna in it, and there's a
Yeah.
perfect spot right beside it for the cold plunge, and we've already like earmarked.
Yeah,
it.
everyone has that stuff. You're gonna like it. It's pretty awesome. Austin, and you go to the gym and everyone's shirtless and with no shoes.
That's awesome.
You're gonna love
That's
it.
really cool.
You're gonna love it. I'll introduce you to all the. I'm like a little bit connected into that world. I'll introduce you to a bunch of people, a bunch of good gyms and stuff.
Okay, that'd be a blast.
That would
But
be
yeah,
great.
it's like or you'll go to a gym and you're like, oh, I follow you on Instagram. I follow you on it. It's like all the health influencers are down there. It's pretty awesome, and everyone is fucking huge. Like I'm not that big of a person, but I come to New York and I feel like a giant because in Austin, like everyone is like has built and runs and it's intense. You'll like it.
Yeah,
But
I'm
I think
excited
that
to surround myself with that.
That's exactly what I was
And the
gonna say.
women are way healthier. In New York, it's cool to be like real skinny. In Austin, it's cooler to be strong.
Oh, strong, not skinny.
What like
Yeah.
It's good.
one of the things that like it's just an amazing example of like the struggle of New York is on Wednesday I was walking from where I was working back and it was like a beautiful day out and I was like, all right, like 4 o'clock, the first 3 people I call, like what am I gonna do with them other than like them wanting to go sit on a rooftop and drink?
Yeah, no, we
like
don't
that's
do any of
just
that.
the number one activity here. Like I don't want to go for a run on the West Side Highway. Like that sounds terrible to me. And like I already did a workout class today, and so like you just end up kind of puttering around the city. And so we're ready for it. And luckily, I had 5-6 years getting into all sorts of trouble here.
Yeah, you'll like it in Austin, man. It's good. Like we go to my friend Kat's house and we would sit in her cold plunge and sauna with the babies and my wife just hanging out outside, all just hanging out in the backyard. You'll dig it. It's a very family oriented place, and everyone's really friendly. You'll
Makes
dig
you very
it.
excited. Okay, now our gift for people that come on, guests that come on, you are the first one, so this is the first time we've done the gift. But instead of giving you like merch or something, we're gonna make a $100 donation to a charity of your choice.
For mine?
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. Let's do the Austin Pets Alive. I foster dogs there.
Cool. You foster dogs?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did
Here,
you know
look.
that?
There's my big boy, Sid. I'm a big.
Oh my gosh. Oh, you're like a big dog person.
Yeah, I got my whole legs are covered in tattoos. I love dogs, and we got lots of dog tattoos.
Oh, that's a great answer.
Yeah, so we'll do Austin Pets Alive. It's a dog place that I like to foster dogs from.
Okay. That's great. Austin, here we come. Okay. And then to wrap it up, you know what I was just thinking? Have you guys ever heard the saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room?
Yeah.
I found myself winning that today. I was not the smartest person in the room. So I was in the right room.
I don't know. I mean, this
You
is
need to
pretty,
change
this is-
rooms,
This
Sam.
is pretty dope to
You're-
me. I think-
Sam's in the wrong room.
I think you're doing all right.
Thank you for teaching us all that you did. We had him on for financial advice and we're walking away with doula advice, but nonetheless.
Yeah, that shocks me. In Sacagawea.
I knew that one, but I didn't know that she walked California and back. I'm afraid to admit that.
Yeah, that was the whole point of the expedition.
I'm going to cut that part from the podcast because
all right.
I was a Native American miner, but I didn't know that.
And they probably were like prominent in Oklahoma.
Massively.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
That's all
big.
right.
It's okay.
It's just-
I knew Lewis and Clark, though.
It's just something you grew up with your entire life. It's all right if you don't know about it.
It's okay if you don't know about the number one girl. And then the last thing that Sam taught me is this little thing I'm going to do with you guys about liking and subscribing, and I'm going to tell you a story about it. On his, he does the Gentleman's Club where
Gentleman's agreement.
Gentleman's Agreement, it's kind of like the honor system.
Yeah.
Basically, where if you listen, you do have to pay your due because everything on YouTube is free except for listening to him. So for me, what we're going to do, you guys, is I'm pregnant and I have a registry and there's a bunch of nice things on that registry. They cost a lot of money and I'm not going to ask you all for any of them. What I am going to ask you for is just one simple thing and it's free. It's for you to press subscribe. That's all I want from you.
It costs them nothing but literally 5 seconds, but it means the world to you.
That's the part I missed.
It means the world to you.
And they made it this far.
It's how you make your livelihood.
Exactly. It's how I pay for that baby.
This show is a pirate ship, and every subscribe is just a little bit of wind in your sails.
And once a subscriber, always a subscriber.
Yes. Unless you do something wrong and get canceled, then they can unsubscribe at any point. But they might as well just subscribe right now because it's so easy.
Exactly. And I'm not, I don't plan on getting I will have my day.
Yeah. So if they want to help your family, they will subscribe.
Yeah. If you're a good person, you'll subscribe. So we'll leave that up to you. And as you say, I'm not over your shoulder watching you, but this is between you and your pillow, but to see if you can sleep at night.
And if you're listening on audio, you should go over to the YouTube and you should comment on what she should add to her registry.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good move too. And you can subscribe.
That's another page out of the Sam Parr book.
Oh, to comment on YouTube?
Yeah.
To
Okay.
send audio people to the YouTube to comment.
Yeah. You
Get the algo going.
YouTube has more discovery. We could talk about it.
He's like, I know all about it and we can talk about it later. Nonetheless, Sam, thank you for coming on. To say it was a pleasure is an understatement.
Thank you.
And we got to go Google doula.
Yeah. God bless.
Of many things.
Yeah,
Thanks,
of many
Sam.
things.
Appreciate it, man.
Awesome. Thank you.
I have to say this really quick. I love you guys. I say it every time.
Thank you for listening.
And he says that every time.
Okay, guys, thanks for listening to another episode of Just Alex, powered by Just Media House. If you enjoyed the show, which I think you did because you made it this far, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. All of those things are so important. Stay connected on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook at Just Alex Pod. Post-production by Creative Evolution Studios. Theme song to the Just Alex Pod by Gideon Shawkin and Denisha. I'm Just Alex, you're just you. Let's keep doing this thing. New episodes every Thursday.